Well, I'm getting ready to paint the U-bolt springs and some other miscellaneous suspension hardware for the rear axle. And, well, there's where it stands. Just waiting for my epoxy primer to induce, and then I'll get on this. So hopefully I can get this rear axle back under the truck, well, tomorrow. This stuff will all be set up. I still don't have the bolt hardware for the rear axle, so I'm just gonna have to use 6 temporary bolts for the back. But it shouldn't be a big deal. I've got the new grade 8 hardware on order, and wait and see when that comes, because they couldn't give me a definite time for that. So there you go. Okay, 1 coat of primer on the springs and the U-bolts. Unfortunately, I guess I should have mixed a little bit more paint because I ran out as I was doing the rear shackles. So I've got a fair bit more inducing right now. When that's done, the springs will get a second coat and the U-bolts will get a second coat, and well, some of this stuff will get a first coat. U-bolts didn't get as good a coat as I would have liked. I had the door closed when I was doing it because of the wind around here, but I think I'm going to have to leave it open and just deal with it. Because I couldn't, because this is so close to the door, because my shop is so full of crap, quite frankly. I was kind of cramped for space by the door here, so as a result, some things didn't get as good a coat. So I think these things I'll give it 2 more coats, which will give it like, I guess, 2.5 coats. I'll give the springs definitely a second coat. And, well, this stuff, you know, will all get 2 coats as well as it'll touch up some spots in the frame that got nicked up in the process of removing the old springs. Okay, 2 coats on the leaf springs and the U-bolts. 1.5, I guess you could call it, on these pieces here. The shackles got kind of partialed, and that's only got 1, and it looks like it might need more. The kind of pebbly surface on this is either rust or it was a cast or forged item. I think I'm going to guess cast, but anyways, it needs a little bit of cleanup as well, a little extra coat. Anyways, on to the 3rd coat for some bits. Okay, there we go. We've got more than 2 coats on each of these items here. And the springs got 2 coats on the top and bottom, and I managed to get another coat on the sides of them. I figured that's the visible part, and yeah, it wouldn't hurt to do that. The U-bolts, on the other hand, only got 2 coats, but I don't figure that's going to be a big deal. I didn't want to choke the threads up with too much primer. Might have a bit of fun getting them off as it is. It's going to probably act like epoxy primer Loctite on them. I also went and touched up a bit on some spots on the frame that got bunged up when I was removing the old springs. Touched up the axle, you know, over on that side where it got dinged by a spring. Also touched up the back side of the pumpkin there. I don't even know how that got scraped up. As well as, you know, other spots here, you know, and the ends of the frame, which for some odd reason when I originally painted it didn't get done anyways. So there we go. Now comes the pain in the butt part, which is paint gun cleanup. Now I'm using these bags I got from Eastwood that you push into the bottom of them. They've got a little fitting that fits into the bottom of your paint cup. As well, there's a fitting that goes in the bag that gets disposed with the bag, and it makes for a lot easier to clean up the cup, but it doesn't do anything about the actual paint gun itself. So fun. Now I'm gonna dismantle my paint gun and clean it up, and move on to the next thing. Well, I might be burned here. I made the, this is the transmission out of the 95 van, and I assumed that because it was a 3/4 ton van, they would have put the heavier duty transmission in, which is the 4L80E, and this looks like this is a 4L60, and I didn't realize that until I looked it up in the book right now, and well, I haven't looked up the serial numbers, but physically this looks like a 4L60. Which might cause me some problems, because the idea was, here's the original, or a TH400, and an NP205, that I was meant to take the 4L6 or 4L80 and couple it up to NP205. And that wasn't going to be too big a deal, because supposedly they have the same spline count going into the transfer case, so all I had to do is just make an adapter plate and hook it up. Well, it looks like that's the 4L60 that's in that transmission, and that means the spline count is not likely to match, which means that I'm probably going to have to purchase a ready-made adapter and probably pull apart that transmission as well, because it seems to have a pretty long output shaft on it. So anyways, not the best news today.